Hey there, friends. Welcome back. This is episode 18 of Who the Heck Did I Marry? So, recapping the last episode, Ken and I were both working at the same car dealership. He was working for one brand, I was working for another. It was end of month, which is crazy at a car dealership. You kind of have to get everything done, all the books, all the numbers, all the monies in place so you can close your sales and obviously give commission to all your salesmen. We had gone home because Ken thought that he was done for the day. I was at a stopping point. Majority of the office had left. There were managers and me there at the time. He walks around, does what he needs to do, tells me, all right, let's go. We get in the car, we leave. We get home, we're in the driveway. He gets a phone call from controller, who is the head accounting position at the dealership. Basically says, you didn't ask for permission to leave. There was more stuff I wanted you to do. If you don't want a job, then you don't have one. You're fired. That was job 6. So I'm still working there, and I kind of don't know what to do about myself. Like, I need to go to work tomorrow. Somebody's got to make money. Obviously, somebody's got to keep making money. But do I have a job? I got the job because of him. Have I proven myself? What's going on? I don't know. So he takes me to work the next day. We go together, and he waits to talk to the controller, and he has a meeting with her. And basically, she's one of those no nonsense, draw a line in the sand. What I've said goes. There's no negotiation. It's over. So he comes out of it and basically tells me, I don't have a job. I will come back and get you tonight, and leaves me there. I kind of am an emotional, like, wear my heart on my sleeve type of a person. And especially then, I was even more emotional than I am now, if that's even possible. It took every ounce in me not to sit there and cry. I had no idea. I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. I just kept doing my job with my head down, and I really didn't want to look at anybody. I didn't know what to do. And it's embarrassing. So the controller comes out of her office and walks over to me at my desk, puts her arm around me and kind of rubs my shoulder a little bit. And she says, don't worry, you still have a job. Thank you for doing a good job, or something like that. I'm like, thank you. And I just keep doing my job. And to tell you about me, I worked at that car dealership for another 2.5 years. I switched brands, I switched jobs, everything in the office they wanted me to do. I eventually became a biller, which is the top job in the office before you get to management. I worked there for 2.5 years, and it was a job. It paid the bills. It was decent money, and it was steady. I could rely on that job. And as Ken didn't have a job, I couldn't mess around. But I had to go to that job every single day and look at the woman who fired Ken, who fired my husband. I had to put on a smile, a brave face. I had to do an excellent job because I couldn't risk losing my job. We have a Cottonwood house. We have committed ourselves to a house down here. Now what are we going to do? Where is he going to find a job? He better start job hunting. So, like I said previously, we were living in a retirement condo of my parents that they had purchased, partially as an investment, but eventually they had hoped to move into it. Just they hadn't done anything with it yet, so it was available. So we were living there. And Ken and I, obviously, were there. Now, that one day, he took me and eventually came and picked me up. There was a couple of times that happened. Because remember, we were down to one car because Ken sold my car. And he had a company vehicle at 2 jobs ago, but not anymore. So when we needed 2 cars, we would borrow his parents' Lexus. They had a 4-door Lexus. I don't know what the numbers are for the models for the Lexus. But anyways, a 4-door Lexus. I called it the old person car. I don't like cars in general, 4 doors. I'm shorter. I'm 5'5". I like a sport utility vehicle or a truck that lifts me up so I can kind of see where I'm going. But I end up driving their Lexus. He's obviously driving his sport track. So he was unemployed at that point for a total of 9 months. It took him 9 months to find his next position. It ended up being at a car dealership, this time in Scottsdale. So in those 9 months, we are closing on our house in Avondale. We have the Cottonwood house situation going on. So let's talk about that a little bit. To be able to close on our Avondale house, we could not have 2 mortgages, or I could not have 2 mortgages, or 3, because there's 2 mortgages up there, that 80-20 deal. The only way that they would allow us to maintain is if we had renters up in Cottonwood and I could prove the additional income coming in so that we then could prove that we could pay for our new home. That's the only way we could get financing. Ken has mostly straightened out his credit concerns by now, so it is the 2 of us together on this Avondale house, but we need this extra income. They won't give us a second mortgage because rates on second mortgages, I don't know, either way, it was still a second mortgage. But anyways, they wouldn't give it to us unless we had renters to prove the additional income. So we ended up finding a property management company up in Cottonwood. We cleaned our stuff out, moved it into the new home, and we got renters up in Cottonwood, which then helped supplement all the bills that we had up there. Because if I didn't say it previously, we couldn't sell it. The housing market is going like this. The house is worth about $170,000 where we had bought it for $100,000. We thought we had about $70,000 of equity in it. Thinking about that money, we thought all that money was going down on the Avondale house, but now we can't sell it. So how are we making the down payment on our Avondale house? That money was supposed to come out of the equity. So what do we do? Well, Ken figures the best way, Mr. Accountant, Mr. knows all the things about numbers and finance. The best thing to do, because the Cottonwood house had gained so much equity, was to take out a home equity line of credit against the Cottonwood house. So if you all don't know what that is, you've got a mortgage for $100,000, but now the house is worth $170,000. You get a loan, a second loan on the home. It's not like a second mortgage. It's called a home equity line of credit. Like a credit card, they give you a certain amount of credit based on how much equity is in your home. So you basically are borrowing against the potential profit of that house. But obviously the profit doesn't exist until it sells. So we can't sell the house. So he gets a home equity line of credit on that $70,000. It's Bank of America. We only need $30,000. That's what we were supposed to put down as the down payment on our new home. We only needed $30,000. But yet, for some reason, Bank of America gives us a $100,000 line of equity. $100,000. So the house is worth $100,000 when we bought it. That's what we paid for it when we bought it. $100,000. That's what we mortgaged. At this point, according to all reports that we can see, spec-wise or what do they call that? Comparables when you're looking at real estate, our house should be worth about $170,000. Bank of America gives us $100,000. So now we could have up to $200,000 owed on that Cottonwood house, but it's just a line of credit. It's all on what you spend. So we put that $30,000 down on the Avondale house so that we can close that home and move into it. We've got renters up in Cottonwood, so we're not out the money right now. The renters are paying what our mortgage would be. We have our mortgage on our Avondale house. Now we have this home equity line of credit, which is an additional payment, but that money was all moved around, shuffled around. It was another payment, but we were doing okay. Financially, we were doing okay once he got the job in Scottsdale. Okay, so we've been able to finagle all the money around, and he is now on his 7th job in the year and a couple of months that we have been together. And we're starting to fall into what I like to call the debt oblivion. Okay, we've got a potential $100,000 line of credit on the Cottonwood house, and we've got this new home. Hey, so we move into the new home. The new home is great. He's now working in Scottsdale, which is a bit of a haul from Avondale. I'm working in Avondale, literally around the corner. So at this point in time, we don't want to borrow his dad's car anymore. So it's time for him to buy a new vehicle so we don't have to borrow parents' car anymore. And I'll tell you what he ended up picking on the next episode.